بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. We were looking at the balanced approach in ifta, in giving fatwa, and in terms of balanced approach, the balanced approach is always something right in the middle. Yes, something is right in the middle, right bang on, which is between two extremes. That is the balanced approach. Therefore, to find out where the balanced approach lies, it is important for a person to be able to see two sides which are the two extremes. There are two types of extremes. One type of extreme is known as ifrat, yes, excessiveness, exceeding the limits, yes. And the other one is tafrit, where a person underdoing, yes, underdoing, inadequacy, tafrit, yes. And now, in terms of ifrat would be, you can take it, it would be tashaddud, meaning it would be being too extreme and strict, yes. It would mean creating hardship, mashaqqa on people, and also making things more harder for people to follow, which is known as strictness, yes, strictness, yes, tashaddud, yes, in ifta, and the other one is ihtiyat in ifta. So this is part of ifrat. And in terms of tafrit, that would entail over facilitation, yes, like taking too much tarakhus, yeah, kathrat, excessive taking of rukhas, following the rukhas and so on and so forth, and also excessive usage of tasheel fil fatwa or taysir fil fatwa, facilitation in fatwa. So we were talking about that these are two extremes, and between these two extremes lies what is known as the balance approach, yes, the nahj, which is mutawazin, meaning that it is a balanced approach. Hence, we try to look first on the first approach, which is the extreme approach. And the extreme approach, we found that it entails, the extreme approach, it entails, or it's driven by 5 different reasons. So the first one was bias towards a juristic group of scholars or individual scholars of repute. We've already done that, and I did give an example on that. Say, for example, in this country, the ulama and the muftis have given fatwa that women can drive the car, for example. So if somebody is biased to a scholar of reputation in a different country, the scholars there have given fatwa that women cannot drive the car. But because of his biasness, yes, because of his being biased, subjectivity towards that scholar, because he was his teacher, he ends up listening to him, he ends up following him, and because of that, what happens is that he ends up giving that fatwa here. So now he's given a strict fatwa, isn't it? Yes, based on his being biased. He has not taken a balanced approach because he did not allow himself to be objective, and thus he gave fatwa, and because of that he's created mashaqqa on the people around. So we looked at that. Then the second one that we looked last week, if you can remember, was uncompromising adherence to the superficial and literal meanings of the sacred text, meaning the zawahir or the dhahir of the text. So one who adheres to that approach, what happens? He restricts the meaning. What he does, the text might have a lot of meaning, ma'ani kathira, yes? So he ends up restricting the meaning. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made khamr haram, yes? Khamr haram. And we know very well the khamr, you know, in the lugha, yeah? In the language. It is that asir, or that juice that is made from inab, from grapes, and then it is heated up and so on and so forth, and you know there is a process that goes, wa alaikum salam, it goes through, and from there, from whence from whence that is made. So somebody restricts the meaning that no, only khamr is haram, and what about the other khumur, or the other alcohols, yeah, which are intoxicants, they are muskir. He says, no, they are not haram. I'm giving just an example. So what he's done is that he's taken a zahiri approach, and he's restricted the meaning. Similarly, the hadith that I gave last week, if you can remember, where the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يحكم أحد بين اثنين وهو غضبان. The Prophet ﷺ said, it's a hadith that Imam Bukhari and Muslim have mentioned, no one should pass judgment concerning two individuals while he is angry. So if he is angry and he passes the judgment whilst he is angry. So the Zahiris have restricted the meaning, and they said, no, it is only in the state of anger Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has prohibited. Yes, so they didn't go and look for ratiolages, meaning illah. What is the illah behind it? They did not probe into it. Thus, they did not look at those states where a person might have the same meaning, same ma'na. Yes, he might have what? The same ma'na, the same legal meaning, al-ma'na shari, that is found in ghadab. The Zahiris, they didn't look through that. Yes, so they restricted the meaning. Now, Ibn Daqiq al-Eid, he's given the illah. He says regarding this hadith, فيه النهي عن الحكم حالة الغضب لما يحصل بسببه من التغير الذي يختل به النظر فلا يحصل استيفاء الحكم على الوجه. قال وعداه الفقهاء بهذا المعنى إلى كل ما يحصل به تغير الفكر كالجوع والعطش المفرطين وغلبة النعاس وصائر ما يتألق به القلب تعلقا يشغله عن استيفاء النظر، وهو قياس مذنة على مظنة، وكأن الحكمة في الاقتصار على ذكر الغضب لاستيلائه على النفس وصعوبة مقاومته بخلاف غيره. Yes, I'm just recapping what we did last week. Yes, so here we find Ibn Daqiq al-Eid saying the prohibition of making judicial decision while angry from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is because of the attitudinal change that occurs thereby. There is a change in the attitude of a person. A person is not in the same state of mind as he was before. Because, when you are passing a hukam, it is important that your mind is balanced. Yes, you are level-minded. It's meant to be, it is important that you are able to pass the judgment in such a state that you are fine. Yes, if you are in the state of anger, you cannot make a rational judgment. You cannot make a clear judgment. Yes, so the ulama, they said what they said was that the Prophet ﷺ, though he has done what he has made the nahi on what, on ghadab, but it is important to understand that the Prophet ﷺ, the reason being behind, the illah behind is what? It's the taghayyur. It is what? The change that happens, and because of that, by which thinking correctly becomes interrupted. Yes, thinking correctly becomes interrupted. So that change that happens, yes, the change that affects the thinking of a person, yes, because of that, that is the illah. Because of that, the Prophet ﷺ naha anil hukmi حالة الغضب. نهى عن القضاء حالة الغضب. Because of the change. So illa is what? تغير الذي يختل به النظر. Yes. Hence, a judgment is not passed perfectly. A judgment will not be passed perfectly. The jurists have transcended, yes, the meaning to include all circumstances where there is a change of thought, such as excessive hunger and thirst. Do you think somebody who has excessive hunger and thirst will be able to pass the judgment properly? He will not be able to pass the judgment properly. Why? Because if he is too hungry, when he's asked, he's too hungry, right? And he's waiting. They say, well, the dinner is ready. He has to have lunch at the court, yeah? So they tell him the dinner is ready, yes? And he's really hungry, yes? what will happen? He will quickly pass the judgment without having thoughts, because his mind is now where? Has been interrupted because of the thought of the food. Similarly, if he's too thirsty, yes, or he wants to go to the toilet, لقضاء الحاجة, to fulfill his needs. Now he wants to go to the toilet to fulfill his needs. He's in a very bad situation. Now, what will happen? It will happen, the same thing will happen. So what we find is that in reality, the Prophet ﷺ has not only restricted the meaning to ghadab, yes? In fact, it goes into all other things, yes? Where the heart attaches to the extent that it turns the person from thinking properly, anything that is of that nature. That is an analogical deduction. That is an analogical deduction of an assumptive case to another assumptive case. As if the wisdom of restricting the mention to anger, yes, is for its overpowering the self and for the difficulty of overcoming it, unlike other states. The Prophet ﷺ, though he has mentioned anger, because in anger a person loses, yes, he loses self-control. In anger, what happens? He loses self-control. In other things, like food and this and that, he has some control. But there is still the assumption that a person will lose control. Therefore, the scholars have what? They've done what? Qiyas. Yes? Qiyas of an assumptive case onto all the other assumptive cases. Yes? But the Zahiris, they said, no. What the Zahiri says? They said, no. You can only restrict to ghadab, and that's it. Other cases, no. Have you got the sheet? No. But no problem, inshallah, you listen. But you've also got the... Yeah. On the phone. Yeah, no problem, inshallah. So we have already mentioned that last week, and we need to go now to page 28. Is that okay, inshallah? In page 28, now we are talking about another state of ifrat, yes, of excessiveness in iftar. Ifrat in what? Excessiveness, and that is excessive obsession with sticking to the principle of sadd al-dhari'a or sadd al-dhara'i, blocking the means. What is sadd al-dhara'i? I'll give you an example of sadd al-dhara'i. How, like for example, something is not haram per se. Per se is not haram. What it is? In itself, per se, it's not haram in itself. Fi dhatihi, the thing is not haram. But because it is leading to haram, it leads to haram, there is a principle, مَا يُؤَدِّي إِلَى الْحَرَامِ فَهُوَ haram. Anything that leads to haram in itself is haram. It's haram. It is not haram in itself, but it is haram because of the fact that it's leading to haram. So it's haram because of something else, لغيري. It's not haram in itself. So the scholars, why this is a device that the scholars place so that a person does not end up going towards haram. So the scholars, they have not come up with this principle just from their mind, but they have seen that there is a wealth of evidences in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala employs sadd al-zara'i. Who employs? Allah. Allah says, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Do not go near zina. Is that right or not? Yes. So when Allah says do not go near zina, all the things that might lead to zina, yes, by looking with desire on a woman, yes, by thinking, by walking towards it, all these things, they enter into this, yes. So there is what is known sadda dharai towards it. Take another example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاعْتَزِلُوا النِّسَاءَ فِي الْمَهِيضِ, that in the state of hayd, stay away from women. So anything that might lead to, yes, to a relationship whilst in the state of hayd, that thing will be prohibited. Anything that will lead, so there should be somewhere a breaking point, or there should be somewhere a red line to be drawn. We will look at that afterwards, inshallah. Yes? Take another example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book regarding the, just a second. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the book, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. One who has made Hajj farad on himself, then there is no rafath. Rafath means indecent talk. What is it? Indecent talking. Wala fusuka, disobedience. There's no disobedience. Wala jidal, and there's no argumentation in Hajj. Yes? Why? Because all of them, they in reality, they hamper or they're detrimental in the fulfillment of Hajj properly. Now, rafath, indecent talk, why is it not allowed? Because obviously, rafath will lead to what? You know, rafath is that talk that a person could have with his wife prior to the intercourse. So prior to intercourse, the talk that a person has, Allah has said that should not be there. Why? Because that could be the door that it might lead to the intercourse, which will have a negative impact on your Hajj. Is that clear? So Allah Himself has used Sadd al-Dhara'i. Yes? So that is a very strong principle as well, amongst many other principles that scholars use. But the problem happens is that sometimes there is an obsession to try to use Sadd al-Dhara'i in everywhere. It is Sadd al-Dhara'i, it's not very, in terms of its definiteness, yes? Qat'iyya, yes? As a principle, as a asl, yes? Shar'i, yes? As a legal principle, is in terms of its definiteness, it's not that strong definite, yes? It's not strongly definite. Where the scholars think that there is an imminent danger. What is it? There is what? An imminent danger. There is, when we talk about imminent danger, means that a person will fall into sin. So before reaching that level, they might say, okay, here it's here it is the roadblock, yes, Sadd al-Dhara'i, roadblock, yes. Here's the roadblock before you reach there, yeah. Like you want to go to the palace, yes. They don't want you to go, so they will put some roadblocks, isn't it? And security measures, yes. So it is like a security measure, Sadd al-Dhariya, so you're blocking the means to go to haram. But because it's not that definite, right? Sometimes some scholars, they might have obsession of misusing it, overusing it. And by doing so, by overusing, by misusing it, what they're doing, they're creating hardship on the people. So that's not a balanced approach. Is that clear? Yes, sacred texts clearly allude to this principle. I've already mentioned that it is necessary in circumstances that warrant its usage. It is necessary to use. Yeah, it is necessary to use in circumstances that warrant its usage. And it is a tool among many tools which preserves maqasid al-sharia. Sadd al-Dhara'i is also one of the tools that preserves maqasid al-sharia. Yes, as it is consistent with the general principle of jalb al-manafi and daf al-mafasid, that is bringing about benefits and preventing harms. So Sadd al-Dhari'a itself is a very important tool, but only if it's used where there is an imminent danger, where the risk is great that sin will happen. Then before that sin happens, there could be, a roadblock, yeah, Sadd al-Dhari'a, like a roadblock. We find Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he says, whenever the Lord Almighty declares something forbidden, while there are means that lead to the forbidden act, he likewise forbids. There are means that leads to the forbidden act, then he likewise forbids all the means and ways that lead to it. In this way, he renders that what is prohibited effective by preventing his servants approaching it. Had Allah allowed the means, then that would reduce the prohibition to a defective state and people would be tempted to commit wrongdoing. Yes? What happens is that sometimes people do have a strong urge to commit a sin. So before that sin happens, yes? Like for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I gave an example, isn't it? Yes? وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الْفَوَاحِشَ مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَمَا بَطَنَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not go closer to indecency, whether it's an apparent one or whether it's hidden. Why? Because that will open the door to go towards a bigger sin. Yes? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself has mentioned that because that could lead, it could be a doorway to a bigger sin. Had that been open, right? What would happen? People would take that the means of falling into the sins. As mentioned above, we need to be enacting Sadd al-Dharai, blocking the means on some occasions. Yes, the need of enacting Sadd al-Dharai. Yes, in some occasion is dire. We know that sometimes you need to place where the danger is imminent. Yes. However, problems arise from its excessive and overusage. Yes, and unwarranted usage, where sometimes an imagined harm is given preference to preponderant benefits. So what happens is that sometimes there might be only one harm. There might be an act which contains what? One harm. But the benefits are so many. Examples will come, inshallah, as we go. So what happens is that, I'll give you a very important example. Yes? There is a man, he has opened a big, massive, he's bought a new farm in France. Yes? He's got vineyard. Yes? And he's harvesting different crops, and amongst them are the grapes. Yes? Now, he is making grapes and he's selling the grapes. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. He's selling the grapes in a very big quantity. Yes? Now, what has happened is that he's selling in the market. In the market, there are people who buy for eating. In the market, there are others who buy for exporting to other countries, to the supermarkets, and because he's producing tons and tons. But there are others who buy from the market to make wine. So somebody says that, some pious man comes to him and says, look, people are buying your grapes and they're making, maybe it's only 10% they might be doing. How many? 10% might be doing that. Is it his fault? He's selling them as a halal, isn't it? Yes? He's selling what? The grapes as a halal commodity product. It's not haram. Now what happens is that the grapes are being bought by different people. 90% who are buying, they are buying for consumption. Only 10% who are buying, because it's producing quite a lot, they're buying to make khamar out of it, alcohol out of it. So somebody, pious man comes, he says, oh, that is really bad. They're making alcohol, you might be sinful. So go and ask a mufti. Now he asks a mufti who loves to, wherever he finds the opportunity, Sadd al-Dharai. Wherever he finds the opportunity, what he does? Sadd al-Dharai. Yeah? He employs Sadd al-Dharai, blocking the means. Now he goes and he says that, look, there are people who buy, and 10% they are non-Muslims, right? But amongst them, there might be a few Muslims who might be buying as well to make alcohol. So I've heard about it. Therefore, I think you shouldn't be selling it. So what's happened? The benefits are so many and the harms are very little, isn't it? So because of just one harm and thousands of benefits, people were buying for halal means and they're benefiting from it, yes? And only a small percentage are. Now, for that reason, this man, he has to pack up. He has to pack up, right? And he cannot sell. So he's, those people who were under him, they were working for him, they're all suffering. So what's happening here is it's a misusage of Sadd al-Dharai. Yes. So as we were saying, is that however problems arise from its excessive usage and overusage and unwarranted usage, where sometimes unimagined harm is given preference to a preponderant benefit, and sometimes there's no. The harm is what is just imagined. Oh, somebody comes, but you know those people who are buying. How do you know? Somebody says like this. How do you know they are making? How do you know they are making into wine? How do you know that they're making into wine? So that's what an imagined harm. Yes, benefits is that there are established benefits, because people are very well that your customers are buying for eating. Thus, a jurist may end up closing the door to the realization of benefits inadvertently. Thereby violating the aims of Sharia altogether. What he has done, he has violated the aims of Sharia because of the fact that he has used Saddu Dhara'i, misused it. Okay. The examples of this could include the prohibition of cultivating the grapes for the fear that it may be used. It may be used by some buyers to make wine, or prohibiting the use of play area for the fear that some people might end up using it for taking drugs. Somebody says, Sheikh, look, give a fatwa that people should not go to that park. Give a fatwa that people should not go to that park because we've seen some youngsters there and they might be taking drugs. We don't know. So that's what a perceived, an imaginary harm. But the reality is, Walaikum Salam, the reality is, it's page 28, brother, inshallah, page 28. The reality is that the established benefits, because you know very well the benefits of that place is for people to enjoy, children to play and this and that. And for that he gives fatwa, no, one should go to this park. Yes? Now he ends up putting that fatwa, and yes, if the problem was too severe, that our children were falling into the fact that they were taking drugs and whatever, then the matter is different, yes? The matter is different by creating Saddu Dhari and say no, Saddu Dharai, and say that you shouldn't go to the park. Yes? Saddu Dhari we're talking about, blocking the means. There is an argument amongst the Muslim scholars that such activities should not be prohibited since their benefits outweigh any potential and hypothetical harm. If you can look at Qarafi, yes, scholars, they have all agreed that if it is something like this, the benefits are there. Park has been made for kids to play, but someone says that, oh, but no, Sheikh, give fatwa not to build a park here. Give fatwa not to build a park here because maybe in the future we've heard about some other parks in other places. Sometimes some kids end up taking drugs. Come on. 99% of people will use the park for playing, isn't it? And there will be 1% who might do things like this, but we know that police will be there to enforce, isn't it? And to make sure that these children are not there to create these problems. True or false, yes? This is a hypothetical harm, isn't it, yeah? And on the other side, we know that there are established benefits. So scholars have said in that case, obviously, when the benefits outweigh the hypothetical harms, the benefits will be given, they will be put forward or put above the harms. So a mufti ends up using Saddu Dhara'i there, he will create a very big disaster for people, isn't it? And what will happen? The park will not even come to existence. Before employing the principle of Saddu Dhara'i, blocking the means, a mufti needs to outweigh the benefits and harms. Some benefits may be established and some benefits may not be established. Likewise, the harms could be of the same nature. Some harms could be established, some harms could not be established. And sometimes harms outweigh the benefits or vice versa. The table below gives the instances when Saddu Dharai can be employed and when it should not be employed. The first instance is where harms outweigh the benefits. Harms outweigh the benefits. Is clear. Where harms outweigh the benefit, then Saddu Dharia has to be employed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. The harms, the sin is far greater the benefit that it's there. And because of that, Allah is trying to say, this is the reason why I'm saying no. Yes? Saddu Dharia. Saddu Dharai. So where the harms, yes, what? The mafasid are greater than manafi, then there Saddu Dharia will be employed. The second instance is, one harm is greater than many benefits. Harm. There is what? One harm, one mafsada is far greater than many other manafi, many other benefits. Then obviously Saddu Dharia will be used there because the harm is too great. Yes? One benefit is greater than many harms. There is one benefit greater than many harms because harms are very little. They are what? Negligible. The harms are what? Negligible. And there is one benefit, then there Saddu Dharia will not be employed. And we understand there are small little harms, yes? But the benefit, one benefit is so big, yes? And these harms that they are, because the harms we are talking, they are perceived harms, right? Yeah? So, and we are talking about benefit that we know very well that it will be an established benefit, yes? One harm versus many benefits. You have one harm, yes, versus many benefits. It's not that one harm is bigger than many benefits. It's just one harm happens to be, one harm, and there are many other benefits. Yes, many other benefits. So what you will do now, you will try to calculate the benefits and you'll find there are many benefits and the harm is only one. Then in that what will happen? Saddu Dharia will not be used except if one harm is greater, okay, than many benefits. Yes? This is just an indicative table. It doesn't mean that, it gives you an indication how you should operate. Yes? It might give you an indication of modus operandi, but at the end, an expert will have a stronger underpinning, yes, of it. But it gives an indication how it should be operated. Many harms and less benefits. Now it happens that there are harms, they're all equal. Harms and benefits are equal, but what happens that the accumulation of harms, there are many of them. Meaning in terms of their intensity, both of them are equal, but the number of harms are more than benefits, then obviously, yes, Saddu Dharia will be employed. Is that clear? Moving on, one or many perceived hypothetical harms versus perceived benefits. Yes, we find that there might be one or many harms, but they are all hypothetical, meaning that we do not know. Could happen or not. Yes, and also benefits are the same. Then it could be yes or no. Mufti will decide after analysis. Yes, it's hypothetical. Yes, somebody says, okay, these problems will not occur now, but there is this fear that after a few years the problem might occur. Yes. One or many perceived harms versus one established benefit. Then Saddu Dharia will not be used except in some cases where the perceived harms are likely to establish. Yes? Is that clear? And one or many perceived harms versus many established benefits. Benefits are established, but harms are what? Hypothetical. Given that they are hypothetical, right? Dhanni. Hypothetical. Whereas the benefits are what? Established, then obviously because of that Saddu Dharia will not be, Saddu Dharai will not be used. The table above demonstrates the Sadd al-Dharai, blocking the means, is not used at all times. What the table shows is that Sadd al-Dharai is not used all the time. There are times where Sadd al-Dharai can be used and sometimes it cannot be used. There are circumstances and instances where it is discarded. Some self-styled jurists, we're talking about who? Those who might call themselves as muftis, right? Self-styled, but they haven't reached that level of iftar. Yes, unfortunately, have a penchant, penchant of using Sadd al-Dharai now and then, without realizing the consequences created by using it in those instances where it should not be used at all. Yes, there are instances, you can look at the table, where you shouldn't be using Sadd al-Dharai. Some go to the extent of rejecting customs and developments, including scientific and economic, invented by other nations, which are open for adoption by everyone based on benefits that they yield, without offering any strong proof for prohibition. Sometimes they say, oh, no. Man tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum. The Prophet ﷺ has said that one who imitates a different people, he's amongst them. But the hadith is not, it's not saying that if you take the technology, you're doing tashabbuh. That's not the reality. Yes, that they have some scientific researches. If you try to adopt them, yes, they have inventions. You adopt them. They also take from us, isn't it? There's also, there's give and take. Muslims have invented many things. The world took it. Yes, we might be inventing nowadays some things, they might take it, and others, so in that thing, it's open. Yes, it's not, everyone can share. It's a shared platform. Okay, now somebody starts putting a Sadd al-Dharai there. That is wrong completely. Why? Because of the fact that he doesn't have any proof. You ask why. And if he tries to use that hadith doesn't apply there. Their status goes against an important principle in usul al-fiqh. Yes, what is it? Al-aslu fil ashya huwa al-ibahatu ma lam yaqum ad-dalilu bi khilafi. The default rule, principle in things is their permissibility unless a proof is established otherwise. Yes. Since they fail to furnish any grounded proof for their position, it shows that they are only driven by the obsession of employing Sadd al-Dharai at any cost without any proper analysis. They're not using any analysis because it's important to analyze, and they fail to analyze, and they're just obsessed in using Sadd al-Dharai, blocking the means at all costs. We know what Sadd al-Dharai is, no? Have we understood?
Yes, can we say Sadd al-Dharia?
You can say Sadd al-Dharia and Sadd al-Dharai. It's fine.
Okay.
Sadd al-Dharia, Sadd al-Dharia. Dharia is one. Singular. So Dharai is many. Okay? Of course, if a custom or development, yes. One has to remember, yes. If a custom or a development has a palpable harm, then it will be rejected. You can look at Qarafi. Yes, Qarafi has mentioned in Sharh Tanqih al-Fusul. Ibn Qayyim has mentioned as well in his book. So in that would be rejected. But if it doesn't have any detrimental effect to your deen, to your sha'air deen of deen, symbols of deen, then if there is no any palpable harm, then it will not be rejected. The stern and unwanted usage of Sadd al-Dharai might be for many reasons. Why do people use Sadd al-Dharai all the time? Yes, it could be that a mufti does not want to be seen relaxed. What could be the reason? He doesn't want to be seen relaxed about an issue. Yes, sometimes what happens is that people say, oh, mufti has become modern mufti. Yes, something is allowed in Sharia, he's a modern mufti. Sometimes you hear that. Do you hear sometimes? Well, Sharia has allowed that, but because he thinks that people will call me that, so therefore, yes, I will not show that relaxation, I'll try to put Sadr Dhariya, whereas Sharia is allowing that, So, of course, sometimes it is desirable to be firm to avoid controversy. Yes, there's nothing wrong for the scholar to avoid controversy. However, this principle should not be taken as an absolute rule. Yes, the scholar sometimes, to avoid controversy, they might refrain from doing something, or they might say it's fine, I'll give you a very simple example. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, before Maghrib, after the time of Maghrib has entered, you can read Salah. Usually what happens is that in our mosques here, because of we following the Hanafi fiqh, is that soon as the adhan of Maghrib is given, we don't pray Nawafil, we start praying Fard. Because, we tend to say that the time between the time for Maghrib is very short, therefore we shouldn't take the risk of yes? Right. And many times when we are eating iftar here, yes, we are eating iftar here, people are reading their Nawafil Sunan upstairs. Right? But, because after Asr there is no any Nawafil and Sunan. True, isn't it? There is none. And many times what happens is that it is in awamun nas, in people, they've got this, that, no, before Maghrib you shouldn't pray anything. True or false, yes? Yeah. So Imam Ahmad, obviously in his, he was in Iraq, wherever, in his, he found that, he says, kuntu usalli. He used to say, kuntu usalli raqatain qabla al-Maghrib. I used to pray 2 rakat before Maghrib. فَرَأَيْتُ النَّاسَ يَقْرَؤُونَهُمَا. I saw people, they are not liking it. فَتَرَكْتُ. I left because of that reason. Because of the fact that he doesn't want to cause any controversy. Yes? Because if people are coming and causing problems and this and that, he didn't want the controversy to happen. Yes, but if he's in such a situation, there is 2 ways. Either you explain to the people the masala, yes, or the other way is pray it privately, away from the people. I'm just talking about in some cases. I'm just giving an example that in some cases, avoiding controversy is a good thing. Does that make clear? However, this principle should not be absolute. You don't, because of this, you start using Sadr Dhariya. Yeah? You start using Sadr Dhariya, you start putting fatwas there, yeah? That is not a good thing. The avoidance of controversy should not lead to contravening Islamic law. Is that clear? Yes? Neither adhering to something evidentially weak. Yeah? Evidentially weak. Nor that should it, neither should it lead to adhering something evidentially weak, nor that it should lead to another controversy. Okay, nor should being on the safer side deter a mujtahid from issuing a fatwa in light of evidences available to him. So. Avoidance of controversy should not lead you to to go against Islamic law, or then because you want to avoid controversy, you go for a dalil which is very weak. You want to avoid controversy, yeah. But because of avoiding controversy, you fall into another controversy, or just because you want to be on the safer side, yes. These should not be the reasons why a person, yes, and many times people end up using Sadr Dhariya to avoid controversy. A person has to be a bit more, yes, because of that, you're talking about 90% of people will suffer. and you are just catering for what? 10% of people who are causing controversy. Does that make it clear? Now, the intensity of personal taqwa, which drives a mufti to observe ifrat in ihtiyat and precaution. Yes? Are we all... Maybe sometimes I'm looking here and there. So I hope... Yes, so intensity of personal taqwa. Now, which drives a mufti to observe ifrat in ihtiyat precaution. One thing one has to remember, having more of a taqwa is a good thing. And if you are a mufti and you've got a lot of taqwa is what? Always good. But where the problem happens is that when you allow the taqwa to dictate and you do not allow the fatwa to dictate, then problem happens. Does that make clear? When a person allows his taqwa to dictate and not fatwa, then it can be problem. Well, in terms of taqwa, what you will be applying on yourself is fine for yourself. But what you will be applying for others, you will be creating hardship for others. Yes? So, having taqwa, which is a standard taqwa, it is must for a mufti, not for a mujtahid. Is that clear? For a mujtahid, it's not a shart. For a mufti to have the standard taqwa is shart. And if he has more, فَبِهَا better. فَنِعْمَتْ here, that is better. But if you allow the taqwa to start dictating your fatwa, yes, then it can cause problems. Because fatwa might say that it is allowed, and taqwa might say, no. Does that make clear? Yeah. There are issues where that... A minimum standard requirement for a Muslim is to attain the level of taqwa where he adheres to the commandments of Allah and refrain from his prohibition. For any Muslim, even a mufti. This is also a condition for a mufti to observe. Okay? The reason for it being conditional are twofold. Why is it conditional for a mufti, not a mufti, to observe that? The first one is because ifta is a public office. Is what? A public office. And demands credibility for the bearer of the office. Yes? And one element of that credibility is the stipulation of taqwa in its conditions. The second reason is the fact that a mufti assumes responsibility for issuing fatwas. He needs to understand that he is not only accountable to the masses, but he is also accountable to Allah. And his accountability to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reflected in his adherence to the standard taqwa. Is that clear? Since the personal taqwa of an individual mufti can sometimes be above the standard requirement, which is an excellent thing. Remember that. We are not saying it's not. It's very praiseworthy. However, that excessiveness in taqwa can sometimes, if a person is not conscious enough, can sometimes have an effect in the issues of fatwa. In fatwa, issuance. So when the personal taqwa is at standard level, then in that instance, that complements fatwa issuance, right? However, when it exceeds that standard level, both, now, taqwa and fatwa depart. Remember that, yes? This is the reason why some muftis may say to a pious individual, mustafti. Mustafti is what? The one who inquires about fatwa. If I go to someone and say, Sheikh, is this allowed? Is this not allowed? He is known as what? Mustafti. Yes? The inquirer of fatwa. Yes? What is he known as? Mustafa. You know what's Mustafti? Inquirer of fatwa. Yes? So, what happens is that the fatwa permits, therefore, mufti sometimes he might say the fatwa to who? A pious mustafti. A pious mustafti comes, he says, Sheikh, could you tell me about whey powder? I'm just giving an example, right? He might say the fatwa permits. What he will say? The fatwa permits, but I know the standard of your taqwa is high, but your taqwa might say otherwise. Does that make it clear? So there is, at one stage, there is what? A divergence. There is what? A division, departure between fatwa and taqwa. What he means by this statement is that this particular fatwa fulfills all the requirements found in the toolbox of fiqh. What the Mufti is in reality saying, when he says what? He says, fatwa permits. Fatwa says what? Yes. Taqwa might say no. Taqwa might say no. Yes? So in reality, what the Mufti is saying is that this particular fatwa fulfills all the requirements found in the toolbox of fiqh and its principles that permit the act. But I know that your taqwa might not appreciate this juristic decision. Yes? So on your individual and personal level, you may desist from the legally accepted permissibility. Yeah? That's clear, yeah? Now, this reality in disparity between the demands of fatwa and a higher form of taqwa on certain issues indicates that the former may separate from the latter on those occasions, as the example was given. And if the mufti is a possessor of that higher level of taqwa, then there is likelihood. We are not saying that it will be all the time. There is likelihood, if he is not conscious enough, that he might subconsciously, did you get it? Subconsciously become biased and subjective to the higher level of taqwa he possesses. While fatwa necessitates permissibility, for example. Yes? In this case, he was driven. In this case, what we'll say? He was driven by the intensive taqwa. Yes? Ifrat, excessiveness. Yes? By the ifrat. Yes? Excessiveness is taqwa. In adhering to precaution. Okay? Ihtiyat. Hence, what would be regarded as personal preference of a mufti due to his intensive taqwa may be different from what the dictates of taqwa necessitate. Is that clear? Now, what could happen is the fact that there could be instances where a mufti subconsciously ended up overriding a fatwa by using his intensive taqwa, personal taqwa. Hence, what fatwa was necessitating, what fatwa was demanding, he didn't act upon that. He ended up putting his personal taqwa above the fatwa. That could happen. Could happen. So what is happening here? He is doing what? Ifrat. What is he doing? Excessiveness in issuing the fatwa because of his taqwa. And the taqwa is saying you have to. He's doing ifrat in what? In ihtiyat. He's doing ifrat. He's doing what? He's doing ifrat in ihtiyat. That is, he's being excessive in precaution due to the intensity of his taqwa, and he's doing that subconsciously. That could happen. Is that clear? Thus, if the mufti ends up issuing fatwa based on the intensity of taqwa in ihtiyat, precaution, while the fatwa demands something lower, then there is a risk that he will end up placing undue hardship, discomfort, and difficulty on the populace, on the people. Take a classical example concerning istimta, skin to skin, intimate play during the state of menstruation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْمَحِيضِ قُلْ هُوَ أَذًى فَاعْتَزِلُوا النِّسَاءَ فِي الْمَحِيضِ وَلَا تَقْرَبُوهُنَّ حَتَّى يَطْهُرْنَ فَإِذَا تَطَهَّرْنَ فَاتُوهُنَّ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَمَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ التَّوَّابِينَ وَيُحِبُّ الْمُتَّطَهِّرِينَ. I'm just giving you an example. Yes, that sometimes taqwa does play its role. Yes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they ask you about menstruation, say it is an impurity, so keep away from women during menstruation and do not have intimacy with them until they are cleansed. But when they are cleansed, then go to them from where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you. Surely Allah loves those who are repenting and loves those who keep themselves pure. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states here in the above ayah, فَاعْتَزِلُوا النِّسَاءَ فِي الْمَحِيضِ. Yes, so keep away from women during menstruation. The keeping away, al-i'tizal, yes, needs to be understood in terms of istimta, skin to skin, intimate play. Yes, according to the jurist, keeping away can mean keeping away from women altogether by sleeping on a separate bed. That's an abnormal view. That's what? An abnormal view. So the first view is what? Completely fatazilun nisa, you sleep in another bed and she sleeps in another bed. That's what? A rare view. That's what? A rare view. The second one is keeping away from sexual penetration only. And that is the view of, that's the Hanbali position. And it is the position that is based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. When the Prophet ﷺ was asked about it, he said, "Isna'u kulla shay'in illa nikah." Do everything apart from sexual intercourse. It's a hadith that has been mentioned. Yes, it's a strong hadith. I think it's in Bukhari, if I'm not mistaken. And keeping away from only from her belly button to her knees if she is uncovered. But if she is covered, there is no need to keep away from that area, right? And that is the Hanafi and Shafi position, okay? Meaning that if she is covered, yes, if she is covered from where? Belly button to her knees, you stay away. But if there is skin to skin touch, yes, then there is no problem, yes. The third view is keeping away only from her belly button to her knees, even if she is covered. Even if she is covered, stay away from that. And that is the view of the Maliki position, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Abu Yusuf, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, also they hold this opinion. Their proof is the hadith in the Sahih Muslim. Maimuna states that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ used to have skin to skin, skin to skin intimacy with his wife about I'll just translate that properly. Yes, Maimuna radiallahu ta'ala, she states that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would used to have skin to skin touch with his wives it should be, yes, above, it should be not about, above the wrap around, above the wrap around. Wrap around is the cloth that is put and wrapped around the waist, and it goes up to the knees, yes, while they were menstruating. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so anything below that is not allowed. Is that okay? Okay. Now, as you can see, what you can see here, keeping away. I've made a table on page 32. Keeping away from a woman altogether by sleeping on a separate bed. That's what a rare view. So we find what has happened there. Taqwa might have played its role, isn't it? True or not? Then the second one is keeping away from sexual penetration only. All other areas are fine. And that is a relaxed view, which is the Hanbali view. C and D, keeping away only from her belly button to her knees, yes, only if she's uncovered. But if she's covered, then it's fine. Here, that is what the Shafi and the Hanafi view. And even if she's covered, can you see? Even if she's covered, one has to keep away. That is the Maliki view, yes, and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in Muslim, and also the fact that it is also the view of Imam Abu Hanifa and his student Abu Yusuf. But Imam Muhammad takes the other C, okay, as the view. Is that clear? Okay, the three above illustrates that the jurists took both Sadd al-Dhara'i, blocking the means, as well as the related narrations on board in their decision making. What we find is that what the scholars have done here, they have used Sadd al-Dhara'i, isn't it? They've taken the narrations as well. Is that true? They have taken narrations on board, and they've also taken Sadd al-Dhara'i on board. Is that clear? In decision making. However, it cannot be discounted. Can you understand? This is the most important place. That taqwa has also played a great role in their juristic judgment. Take, for example, A, keeping away from women altogether by sleeping on a separate bed, which is abnormal view. That is a classical case where the decision was driven by intensive taqwa. Or somebody could, is that clear?
Is it possible that it's just the interpretation of the ayah, and they haven't come across the hadith?
Ayah, the possibility of the interpretation of the ayah by taking the ayah into generality in meaning, right? But again, if you look properly, they don't have a hadith in front of them by saying women have to be in another bed and woman and men in the other bed, in a different bed or another bed altogether. There is a level of taqwa that is being played here as well. Is that they've used Sadd al-Dhariya, but taqwa is being played here. You know, because if you take the generality of the verse, I'tizal, yes, you can go up to the extent that she should be sleeping. Yes, if somebody came up with that. And the reason being behind it would be, again, taqwa playing its play.
But obviously, if they come across the hadith, then technically, if they were to read the hadith and then reject it, then obviously you wouldn't be able to do that.
The hadith shows where to draw the red line. But now we've got two hadiths, isn't it? One hadith is where we see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Maymuna radiallahu ta'ala anha. One hadith is the hadith of Maymuna radiallahu ta'ala anha, where she herself has stated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to have skin-to-skin intimacy, apart from sexual intercourse, above the wraparound, which is belly button. All below that, no. That's one hadith. Then there is the statement of the Prophet ﷺ saying, "Isna'u kulla shay illa." Yes. So you can do anything apart from penetration. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said. Apart from penetration, sexual penetration. So that hadith is more relaxant. Is that true or not? So where the Prophet ﷺ draws the line? Up to penetration. In other words, there's nothing. The red line is just penetration. Is that clear? But others, that's the Hanbali view. Yeah, Imam Abu Hanifa, Abu Yusuf, yes, Imam Malik. They've said no. The hadith of Maymuna says that. But why are they saying that? Why are they saying the Prophet ﷺ used to do that? Why are they saying that? Because of the fact that they are worried. They're saying that it's better to draw the line before that, isn't it? If you say you can do anything, the Prophet ﷺ has said apart from penetration, the Prophet ﷺ has given a guidance to us apart from penetration. When the muftis come to give fatwa, they look at all different dalail in front of them, right? And look, the Prophet ﷺ has said what he said, and the Prophet ﷺ is one who has the self-control as well, isn't it? Yes. people, they are not the same. And also the Prophet ﷺ has also shown, has also shown where he used to draw himself the line. Because Maymuna radiallahu ta'ala has revealed to us clearly. Yes? So, going anything after that, you have to block the means, isn't it? You have to draw the line. Clear or? Yeah. So you have to draw the line there and there. So, what we find is that the scholars always have taken the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and they've also taken the Sadd al-Dhariya on board. And then there is a third view, which is between these two. One, the most relaxed, and the other a bit strict, not that strict, but obviously it's hadith based. Yes? And that is the view that keeping away from only from her belly button to her knees if she is uncovered. But if she is covered, it's fine, because obviously penetration will not happen. Exactly. So obviously that is from who? Even if she's covered, that's D, isn't it? That is the Maliki, Imam Abu Hanifa, and these are what? These are scholars of older age, yeah? So they have taqwa as well at play, and they're a bit worried things don't go bad. But the other ones, like Imam Muhammad, is a bit young. They don't look the same way.
I suppose the other area of disagreement can be is that maybe the grading of the hadith. Maybe.
What is it, sorry?
I suppose the other area of disagreement can be due to the grading of the hadith. I don't know if maybe one opinion may think that this is sahih, one opinion may say that this is da'if, etc.
Yeah, but what we find is that the development of some of the madhahib were before the grading of the hadith. Therefore, what would the grading of the hadith happen maybe few decades or 100 years after them, and by then obviously scholars had to grade the hadith because of the fact that things were not the same as they were a century before. Yes, a century before, therefore they had to grade and this and that. So when they received the hadiths, they didn't look on the basis of siyah, because what would happen is that between them, like Imam Abu Hanifa, between Imam Abu Hanifa and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would be only one or two people in the chain. It would be, say for example, if it's Ibrahim Nakhai, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Rasulullah. I'm just giving an example. Or sometimes it would be him and one Sahabi, because he's seen the Sahabi and Rasulullah. It's possible. Yes? So there wasn't any need for grading the hadiths, because it was only one or two. When you're talking about 4 or 5 people, then obviously you will be probing into their lives, and then the grading of the hadiths comes. So some of the fiqh schools of fiqh have developed well before the grading of the hadith. But again, the scholars later on, they can also look at the hadith as well, or sahih and da'if. But sometimes could be the hadith might have become da'if later on. Was sahih at the time of
Imam Abu Hanifa.
Yeah, later on, because of the rawi that came afterwards. It is good that an abnormal statement has been relegated because of the hardship it creates, and we are fortunate that we have the prophetic narrations that guide us on the matter. Is that true? Yeah. We have the hadith of which rebalance the intensive taqwa overdrive in this regard. Is that clear? Should we read the last one and then finish it off, or is that okay for the last one? Huh? You want me to go through that as well? You're fine, all of you, about this, yeah? Okay, a mizaj-driven, temperament-driven harshness can create imbalance in issues of fatwa. Now, a temperament of a person is strict or harsh. Naturally is like that. Yes? He's rough and tough. Yeah? Psychologists usually refer to one's temperament as one's own personality. Your own personality. Yes? It can either be lenient, balanced, or harsh. Abdullah ibn Fahad ibn Sulaiman al-Qadi states, although a faqih is a follower of Islamic legislation and its arbitrator, isn't it? A faqih, a mufti, is a follower of what? Islamic legislation and its arbitrator, yet he is a human. At the end of the day, he is what? A human who cannot exit his natural disposition, which he has been created with. Hence, it is inevitable that his temperament will have an impact both in his choice and opinion. True or false? If you're harsh in your choice, you might have a different choice. In your opinion, you might have a different opinion. Husband and wife, you can see, if the husband is too harsh, he will have his own opinion, how to bring the children. True? If the wife is a bit lenient, she will have a different opinion, how to bring the child or the children.
See here, the arbitrator is referring to the scholars.
The fuqaha, yeah, the jurists, they are the arbitrators, yes. Just as the jurist needs intellectual capability, whose foundation is his brightness, similarly, he is in need of a psychologically balanced background that does not turn to what? Bizarreness, yes, extremism, excessiveness, and oddness. Yes, many factors play a key role in shaping up one's mizaj and personality. His mizaj could be genetically or naturally inherited. That's one factor. Or could be because of upbringing. He's been brought in harsh conditions. He comes out to be harsh. Or past experiences, could be that past experiences have made his mizaj very harsh. Or even because of social, psychological, and cultural influences on him. Culture is for you to be harsh. Yes? You become harsh. Social milieu is of that type, so he becomes harsh. It is a fact that mizaj does influence, this is one thing that you have to remember, does influence juristic decisions and legal opinions. Yes, if a person is not what? Aware of it. He's a mufti, he's not aware, but it does have an impact. Yes, for example, the opinions of two eminent companions concerning the captives of the Battle of Badr bear the testimony to this fact. Do we know, yes, who were those companions? Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu wanted a lenient position, whereas Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu wanted what? A harsh position. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had to decide, isn't it? Nonetheless, a jurist should be conscious of the type of temperament he possesses and also acknowledge that sometimes, albeit subconsciously, he may be driven. Nonetheless, a jurist should be conscious of the type of temperament he possesses and also acknowledge that sometimes, albeit subconsciously, he may be driven to issue a fatwa that may be influenced by his strict mizaj, which might be detrimental to others, causing them discomfort, hardship, and difficulty thereby. While the moderation of Islamic law might demand a more balanced issuance instead. Is that clear? If a person of harsh mizaj is always aware of this fact, there is likelihood that he will remain balanced in his issuance of fatwa. Allah willing, inshallah. If he knows that he is of that type, what? Harsh in his mizaj, he will know where the moderation is, because Allah's deen necessitates moderation. It doesn't necessitate harshness, because harshness could drive to hardship for some people. Yes, so harshness might dictate, yes, a more hard-pressed or hard-putting fatwa on people, whilst the deen, Allah says that Allah has not put haraj, difficulty in deen, necessitates a balanced approach. So what's happening, because of his harshness, which he is not conscious about, he's subconsciously using it in fatwa, is putting people into hardship, whereas deen is asking for something else. Is that clear? Yes, go ahead, sir.
One question. Actually, sometimes what happens as there was the person who's seeking the fatwa and goes to the mufti.
Yes.
And then asks a question. And mufti knows that there is, for example, he follows this Hanafi school of thought, but he says that there is what the person who came with, he heard from somebody that there is an option, like in a Shafi, do this. So he's trying to somehow bring the mufti, drag into to speak what he wants to. If you're getting my question.
I did get, so inshallah, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
There is appears as if the apparent clash of schools. So how to overcome the mufti will? How?
Yeah, inshallah, that will be, hopefully, inshallah, if we finish this, hopefully we'll manage that in lecture 8. Exactly the question that you've asked, that will come under over facilitation. Yes, it will come under what we call tafreed, which again we will deal with that, inshallah. Is that okay? Inshallah, what you've asked, that is part of lecture 8, inshallah, or if we drag to lecture 9, but it should be somewhere between lecture 8 or 9, inshallah, we'll be dealing with that, inshallah. I got your point and your question, and that question is dealt with in lecture either 8 or 9, but most likely, inshallah, 8. We're just finishing this, inshallah. Is that okay? Let's talk about mizaj. We are talking about mizaj, isn't it? Yes. So we find that he's if a person of a harsh mizaj is always aware of this fact, there is likelihood that he will remain balanced in his fatwa issuance. After all, as Bin Bayya says, yes, Bin Bayya states issuance of fatwa is a professional occupation. What it is? A professional. That is because professionalism entails composition and fulfillment of a task that needs expertise and mannerism. Hence, the issues of fatwa is not an easy task or a simple composition. Yes, so it is important for Mufti to look at all different angles, and he has to look at his own self as well before he is issuing the fatwa. He is not subjective to his harshness, is not subjective to his obsessiveness in Sadd al-Dhara'i. He is not subjective due to the intensive taqwa. He is looking at what Allah and His Rasul would do. If Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in his place, what type of fatwa Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would issue? Obviously, it would be a balanced fatwa. So he is there because he is representing who? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the issuance of the fatwa. Therefore, he has to put in those shoes, and he has to understand that he shouldn't allow his harsh mizaj to be the drive force behind the issues of the fatwa. So he has to be aware of that. Is that okay? Abdullah ibn Fahad bin Sulaiman al-Qadhi, again he comes back, opines that mizaj of a mujtahid or a mufti may influence his juristic decision, it should be, in areas where the scope of ijtihad widens. Now, when will that happen? When will mizaj start playing around? Look, if Allah and His Messenger have mentioned, the mufti will say, Allah says this, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says this, yes? but where the ijtihad widens, yes, where there could be multiple conclusions, where there could be what? Multiple conclusions, that's when his mizaj will play a role. Is that clear? His mizaj, harsh mizaj, will play a role. Yeah? So he's got, like, for example, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that now this is an area of ijtihad. Yes? Now he has to look through Quran and Sunnah and he will find this could be conclusion A, conclusion B, conclusion C, conclusion D. Conclusion C and D are lenient. Conclusion B is somewhere balanced. I'm just giving an example. Conclusion A is harsh. His harsh mizaj is there. What he is doing? B, C, D, overlook them. Let's go for A. That's where the ijtihad. But obviously, when ijtihad restricts itself, and now he has to focus on the Quran and Sunnah or usul, even usul, then what happens is that mizaj doesn't play that much a great role. Is that clear? Okay. So, however, it might not have any effect when its scope narrows. The scope of what? Ijtihad. In the presence of explicit textual evidences, because in the latter case he is closer to the revelation both in terms of knowledge and evidential backing, because he will be closer to the correct opinion. Is that clear? While in the former case where the ijtihad is what? The scope of ijtihad is wide. In the former case, what will happen? In the former case, because of his distance from finding explicit textual evidences, he resorts to perform ijtihad, due to which he becomes what he becomes? Susceptible to the influences of his different strands of mizaj. Yes. Hence, at that time, he needs to be alert concerning the interference of his harsh mizaj on his noble task. This consciousness and mindfulness will prevent him from committing a mizaj-driven imbalanced juristic decision, and will allow him to stick to the balanced approach in ifta on such occasions. Is that clear? Just as being conscious of one's mizaj is important, yes, also to avoid falling into the trap of issuing fatwas based on it, yes, equally it's important. A mufti should also attempt to reshape his mizaj by exercising his self and rectifying it to adopt rectitude, uprightness, prudence, good character, tolerance, professional conduct, and forgiveness. Take an example of the following mizaj-related hadith and its explanation. What we have to remember is that, okay, you've got harsh mizaj, isn't it? Now you have to make your mizaj moderate. So exercise yourself to try to get to that mizaj, isn't it? If you're harsh because of your experiences, harsh because of your own upbringing, harsh because naturally you're harsh, try to mellow it. Yes? Look at the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that allows you to regulate your mizaj, isn't it? The Prophet ﷺ, an Abi Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, أن رجلا قال للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أوصني قال لا تغضب فردد مرارا قال لا تغضب رواه البخاري. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala narrates that a man asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, give me a parting advice. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, do not get angry. What did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? Do not get angry. The man kept on repeating his request many times, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam answered every time, do not get angry. Yes? Ibn Hajar explains this narration as follows. قال الخطابي معنى قوله لا تغضب اجتنب أسباب الغضب ولا تتعرض لما يجلبه وأما نفس الغضب فلا يتأتى النهي عنه لأنه أمر طبيعي لا يزول من الجبلة. وقال غيره ما كان من قبيل الطبع الحيواني لا يمكن دفعه فلا يدخل في النهي لأنه من تكليف المحال. وما كان من قبيل أو قبيل قبيل ما يكتسب بالرياضة فهو المراد. قبيل ما يكتسب بالرياضة فهو المراد. وقال ابن حبان بعد أن أخرجه أراد لا تعمل بعد الغضب شيئا مما نهيت عنه، لا أنه نهاه عن شيء جبل عليه ولا حيلة له في دفعه. Now I'll translate that. Khattabi says the meaning of the prophetic statement, do not get angry, is that refrain from the causes, meaning the causes of anger. Meaning all those causes that cause you anger, refrain them. If you think that this thing will make you angry, stay away from it. If you think that you will do this and this will cause you anger, stay away from it before you become angry. And do not expose yourself to that state that brings anger. As for anger itself, that cannot be prohibited. Anger in itself, you can say, oh, do not get angry inside because it's a natural thing. What is it? And people in terms of anger are of how many types? 4. Naturally, how many types? The Prophet ﷺ is reported to have stated. Yes? How many types? First one is what? Batiyul ghadabi, batiyul fay. He is, in terms of getting angry, is what? It takes time. You can twist his arm, you can tell him off, you can do whatever you want, you can jeer him, you can scorn at him, you can rebuke him, you can be sarcastic to him. Nothing happens. But then, it's like a volcano. Yes? It's not active. And then when it activates, yes? Now it's like, what happens now? It's batiyul fay. It takes 1 month for him to cool down. And you say, oh, I should have, stopped right before he gets angry. But I overdone it. Yes? He will go to his wife, will say, I don't know, man. I think I pushed it too far. Yes? I pushed my luck. Yes? That's one the Prophet ﷺ said. The second one, it's reported, the Prophet ﷺ is reported to have stated, is Sari'ul Ghadabi Sari'ul Fay. What is it? Short-tempered, but then he forgets quickly. Yes? And you'll find some of these restaurant guys who are working there, managers, angry. And then within second, forgotten. Huh? Within second is what? He tells him, oh, look what you've done, blah, 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 blah. Yeah? And then all of a sudden he's gone outside the kitchen, he's come back, he's a different man smiling. Then again, on something he gets angry. So it's anger, quick anger and quick exit from the anger. Yes? Then the third one is what? Sari'ul Ghadabi. What is it? Sari'ul Ghadabi Batiyul Fay. Dangerous. This man is dangerous. Anything triggers his anger. So he gets angry very quickly, but when he comes to draw back, come out of that anger, it takes him a month. Yes? This is a dangerous person, isn't it? That's worse. And the last one is Batiyul Ghadabi Sari'ul Fay, and he is the best. He is what? Batiyul Ghadab, meaning that it takes time to get him angry, but when he gets angry, he just cools down very quickly. He is the best. So 4 types. So anger is a natural thing. Yes? So the Prophet ﷺ is not saying that take that anger out completely. What the Prophet ﷺ is saying, either you restrict it, you self-control the anger so that you don't act upon it, or don't go towards those causes that cause you anger. Yes, that cause you to become angry. As for anger itself, that cannot be prohibited as it is a natural matter that cannot erase from the human disposition. Someone else stated that anger that emanates from the animalistic tendency, that is impossible to repel. Somebody said, no, there are 2 types of anger. There are how many types of anger? 2. One is the one that comes due to your tendency, animalistic, like an animal tendency. instinct, yeah, inside you, that is not repellable. You can't repel. And there's another anger which is more of managed anger, yeah. You can control the anger, meaning that the anger is, you know, somebody has done, you said, I have to show anger. Yes, it is, you know, it is, you're conscious and you're making a decision. It's an anger that, is rational anger. What is it? What? Rational. Rational anger is controllable. You can say, forget it. I shouldn't show anger just now to this person. There's no, yes, that's controllable. But the animalistic anger, when it comes out, yeah, you say, come on, calm down. There's no calming down, going, yes. He's, there's no way you can stop him. Everybody holding him back, yeah? And just, no. How dare he swore at me, yes? Huh? Brother, it especially happens in iftar in some places. I'm not saying in Dundee, mashallah. Everyone is good. In Dundee, everyone is good. Honestly, everyone is quiet.
Really?
Huh? I think everyone is good. But in other places I've seen, yeah? Huh? Anger, yes? Once I happened to be, I don't want to mention, but it wasn't in Dundee. I happened to be in a mosque somewhere, and there was this man who had the habit to swear all the time, and it was iftar, yes? The brother was not from this country and was not also from subcontinent, was from somewhere else. And the other brother was also not from, they were both from a different country somewhere in the Middle East. And one of them happened to, he's got the habit to swear, and the other got angry. And they started punching each other. Nobody, hey brother, stop fighting. Nobody is doing anything. I stood up, I grabbed the other one who was, being beaten up, because he was the instigator. Because of it, I grabbed him. You will not believe, I just picked him up and moved him aside. We cannot stop, right? At that moment in time, everyone says, stop brother, stop brother. Nobody's stopping. You could say a million times, stop brother. It is that animalistic anger that, goes over. Huh?
Was this inside the
inside a whole places in Ramadan? Little things can trigger anger. There's just be quiet. Just be calm. Sometimes we deal with all these situations. Sometimes we have to keep the peace, maintain the peace, So we get different people because it's natural, Especially in Ramadan, things become a bit more. Why is it? Mashallah, he's okay. He comes sometimes late down, right? There is food or not, he's happy. But if it was somebody else with anger, he would say, food is finished, I want something. And he'd say, no, brother, wait, we will get you a pizza. I'm just joking. But I'm just saying that sometimes some people, they come late and sometimes there's not much meat. Can be explosive, isn't it? If they don't find meat, Meat in biryani can cause problems. That's why some preachers, du'at, they say in meat there is what? Tor. Tor means disunity. And in dal there is jor. You know what is dal, yeah? Lentil. In the lentil food there is what? Unity. Because there nobody will fight. If you're eating in one what you call? Dish. No, you're eating in one plate, yeah? And one side, one guy sits, and the other side you're sitting, and the meat happens to be just 1 inch, right? You know where the middle of the plate is, right? Yeah? Where the middle of the plate is, 1/2 of the plate is, the meat happens to be a bit his side. And you're like, how on earth can I push it this way, right? So I can have it. And he is also, because he's really hungry in Ramadan, and he's doing iftar, he's also pushing, right? And all of a sudden you go, come on, Yeah? So it could lead to disunity, doesn't it? Yeah? But if it is dal, right? He's eating dal, you're eating dal from there, yeah? everything is equal. It's a shared platform. You don't even give a damn, right? If he ends up eating 2-3 more morsels of that, it doesn't matter. That's if you're eating from the same plate, right? But how beautifully the Prophet ﷺ, one Sahabi, one companion, he says, my hand, he was young child, my hand kept on going there. You know, children, they've got this, yeah? You know, if it happens to be a very big, you know, they call it thala or thali, or thala, yeah, thala, it's a big one, like this, massive, yeah? Yeah, thala, isn't it? Thal, yeah? You're talking about how many, about 5 people or 6 people sitting, yeah? And meat happens to be that side and not this side. And what happened? If it's a child, it'll go, bring it there, right? So the Prophet ﷺ said to this child, he said, وَكُلْ مِمَّا يَلِكَ, eat from your side. Yeah? And the other guys who are sitting the other side, they have to be a bit concentrate. Say, okay, let us put in the middle, so, yeah? Everyone has the chance to eat from that massive piece of meat, yeah? Anyway, let's move on. If one thing leads to somewhere else. That anger that emanates from the animalistic tendency, that is impossible to repel. Thus, it does not enter within the prohibition, because that would mean to legally imposing an order on an impossible thing. Yes? Whereas that which results in from manageable anger, that is bent here. Ibn Hibban states, after narrating it, the Messenger ﷺ meant that do not act upon anything that you have been prohibited after getting angry. Look at the meaning that Ibn Hibban has given beautifully. He says that, look, it's understood that anger is natural, right? One is try to, if it's manageable anger, manage it. If it is animalistic anger, do not act upon what the anger is saying. Taking revenge, isn't it? Anger says what? Take revenge. Don't act upon that follows the anger. Do not act upon that. Yes? Now the one who has anger issues inside him is a mufti, right? If he acts upon that anger, what he will end up doing? Not allowed. Haram. Yes? Not allowed. The Messenger ﷺ meant that do not act upon anything that you have been prohibited after getting angry. Not that he prohibited from a thing that one has been naturally disposed to, yes, and he does not have any skills to repel it, yes. So the Prophet ﷺ, he's saying the Prophet ﷺ, one meaning is that do not act upon those causes that lead to anger, one meaning. The other meaning is that anger is a natural thing, yes. If it is a manageable type of anger, manage it, control it. If it is unmanageable type of anger because of your animalistic tendency that have, after that anger, do not act upon decision making. Like the fact that you start abusing the other person, you start belittling him, jeering him, yes, so become sarcastic and so on and so forth. The explanation above shows that the hot temperament is a dispositional issue. However, Al-Khattabi points out that it is important to refrain from the causes and do not expose yourself to that state that brings it. I've already mentioned that. Additionally, it is also worth noting Ibn Hibban's take on the narration, explaining that it indicates that one with anger issues should not act upon anything that you have been prohibited after getting angry. Since anger is a natural thing and people are different concerning it, I've already given 4 different types of people. A few things are worth mentioning regarding it. One should avoid the causes that bring about anger. I've already said that. If anger appears naturally, that is not repressible, or erasable, but it is controllable. But it is controllable to the extent that one should not act upon it. And there is what is known as manageable anger, known as manageable anger. In that case, we can repel it. Should be okay, not when we can repel it. Okay. In the arena of fatwa issues, a mufti with hot temperament should avoid getting angry to his best, yes, to his best, due to the undesired questions of the inquirer, or merely because of his personal mood swings or continuous hot temperament. Yes, so a mufti should avoid, because sometimes the mustafti ends up saying something very silly and gets you angry. You say, "Dafa ho jao." Yeah? What they say? Get out. You just want everything, me to permit it, huh? Finish. You don't need to do it. Go. Get out. Get out. Yes? So what he doesn't like, he got angry because the mustafti has asked such a silly question. But you have to understand that, sometimes he is old, right? He's old, right? And this is a young guy. He's what? Young guy is asking something, that might be fine because of his young age, right? And Mufti thinks, for God's sake, this guy, what type of question is asking? Because Mufti is already in a different level altogether, right? He's reached a different level and he's angry and he ends up saying, not allowed, get out. Yes? Or because of personal mood swings, he has had a very bad time at home, yes? Very bad time, comes home to the mosque and somebody asks him and he's like, he's had a very bad time. Yes? Or so he's got a very, due to his mood swings, he's angry. He should not, or continuous hot-tempered, or sometimes it's continuously like that, hot-tempered. Also, his fatwa issuance should never be the product of his anger. Yes, he should base his fatwa should never be based on his anger, but it should be the product of his composed, controlled, and managed, rational, and prudent self instead. Okay, so he needs to be composed, controlled, managing. He should be rational and prudent. After all, the Messenger ﷺ said, no one should pass judgment concerning two individuals while he is angry. We've already seen this narration, isn't it? Though the narration is concerning what? Judicial decision, al-qada, isn't it? Yet it also encompasses juristic decision, ifta, as he is unable to perform correct ijtihad and think properly in that state. While commenting on the narration somewhere else, Imam Nawawi has said, فيه جواز الفتوى حال الغضب وكذلك الحكم وينفض ولكنه مع الكراهة في حقنا ولا يكره في حقه صلى الله عليه وسلم لأنه لا يخاف عليه في الغضب ما يخاف على غيره. Did you get it? He says, though there is permissibility in the narration. Look, he's looking at the narration. Looking? Narration now, he is saying it. Who? Imam Nawawi is saying, though there is permissibility in the narration concerning issuing fatwa, yes, in the state of anger, also issuing a judicial judgment, and they will be executed. If somebody did so in anger, it will be executed according to obviously the Shafi'i madhab that Imam Nawawi follows. However, that permissibility will carry what? Karaha. Why? Karaha. Yes, with it in our respect. While it will not be undesirable in the respect of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because there is no fear of committing error by him sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the state of anger against what is fear concerning others. Is that clear? If Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam happens to give fatwa in anger, or qada, decision, a judicial decision in anger, that's fine for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because for him to commit that error, it's impossible. And say if there is a ijtihadi error from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even due to the anger, Allah will what? Will fix it through way. But in concerning us, we cannot do that, because that is for us is what? Makruh. That's what Imam Nawawi is saying. Is that clear? Any questions? Have we taken quite a lot of time today, isn't it? Yeah? What time is it just now?
It's 8:50.
8:50. That is really killer. But inshallah, next week we'll try to be a bit more. Hey, where are you going, brother? Huh? Assalamu alaikum.
I just wanted to ask the difference between al-qada and